What is happening, everybody? Happy Sunday. Your Sunday session is now in session, I should say. What's happening, everybody? How's everybody doing out there? What is up? Oh, we got Mr. Philip Barker here. What's going on? It is pretty cool, right? I think it might be a little conversation about something about that. Yeah, I think we'll get there. Yeah, for sure. So, what's going on, Jason? We got Tehran. What's up, sir? How you doing? Javier, what is going on? Appreciate you guys stopping by this. I know it's been a while since I've done a Sunday stream, but figured this would be a perfect time to do a Sunday stream. So do it live. That's what I'm talking about. So we'll try to get as many secrets out as we can. No, but it's gonna be a lot. It's gonna be a fun conversation for sure. What's going on? Tobias, flashy shirt, right? I know. Felt like it was proper for the occasion. Where's the coffee? Oh, I got coffee in my Exclusivo mug right here, of course, which you can find in the Film Junkie closet right there. So cheers. Yeah, needed some caffeine today for sure. Hello, what is going on, Jolly Critic? How you doing? Yeah. And what's great too is after this, we're gonna have that Army of Thieves. Comic-Con at Home panel with Zach and all them. That's gonna be happening. So that's gonna be cool. What's going on, Nick? How you doing? Hi from France. How you doing? Hashtag Us United. There you go. What's going on, darling? Mattia, how you doing? Mr. Eric, what is up? It's really clear. Oh, thank you. Yeah, the new cameras. Yeah, new cameras looking good. Trying to look as pretty as possible when it comes to the cam. So yeah, it's looking good. What's going on? How you guys doing? Yes. So this yeah. So we'll definitely we're gonna have some good conversations today. Like I said, appreciate you guys clicking in. Make sure you smash that like thumbs up. And make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell. All that stuff is down below. But without further ado, let's go ahead and bring on the guests right here. We got VFX supervisors, Mr. Bryan Hirota, Mr. DJ, Mr. John DJ, and then of course we have stunt coordinator and second unit director Damon Caro. And then, of course, production designer and also dealing with special effects, Mr. Patrick Tatopoulos. How's it going, everybody?
Yes. There you are.
The gang's all here.
What's your problem?
Yeah, what's your deal, Patrick? You freaking
why is everything like special for you?
I was looking at the picture of the four of us. It's just too sexy.
You know what? Hey, when I was creating the picture, I was very much going for an album cover. I was like, all right, we got the four people here. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna try to make it like an album cover. So I was like placing you guys, and then I was like, okay. And I was like, okay, Patrick, lead singer, obviously, you handsome W. You're the lead singer. I'm gonna say Damon Caro, you're the lead guitarist. I could see you shredding, doing some doing some solos. DJ, you're the drummer. DJ for sure, the drummer. And then actually, Bryan,
that's appropriate.
Yeah, there you go. And then Bryan, your bass and backup vocals. And I want to believe that on the album you have your very own song. There you go.
That's awesome.
Cool.
See, there's a backstory. Even creating a thumbnail, I created a little backstory with it. But anyways, gentlemen, thank you for joining. Man, this is absolutely fantastic. So how's everybody doing?
Great.
All at one time.
Great. I'll speak for all of us. We're doing great.
Okay. So everybody's kind of scattered around right now. Bryan, where are you at?
Literally scattered around.
Yeah.
I'm in Glasgow in Scotland.
Glasgow. Okay. DJ, where are you at?
I'm in London, and it's funny. Is that sunlight pouring through your window, Bryan? Because we got none of that here.
Yeah, actually, today's pretty sunny, pretty decently warm.
Thunderstorms here. Thunderstorms.
Yeah. They would call it hot. You probably wouldn't.
And Patrick, where are you at?
I'm in LA for another 2 weeks, and then I'm going to go not join, but in the same country than DJ. I'll be in London in 2 weeks.
Oh, nice,
cool.
Nice.
Right back there, Patrick. You come right back here.
There you go. There's the door. He'll leave it unlocked for you.
Yes.
And then Damon, where are you at?
I'm in Toronto, Canada.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
It's a mixture of Scotland and London weather.
Over in California, it's just hot. That's all it is. Just hot. That's where I'm at.
Like I said, we could have had this at home at the beach. We're just
I know. I mean, I think maybe in the future, if you guys are here, let's just like do that. Somehow we can try to pull that off or something. That'd be pretty sweet. But
Fantastic.
that would be fantastic. That'd be a really cool setting for a round table right there for sure. So, yeah, it's been a crazy year for sure, guys. And even recently with the recent news, I mean, I tell you what, when it comes to a comeback story, I'm loving the one that's happening with Zach and Debbie right now with the deal that they just got, the first look deal, Netflix, of course, Army of the Dead sequels, prequels, all that stuff. And one of the things I wanted to talk about first too was Damon. You also, something in that article, it was talking about that you're going to be doing a movie here soon, or with that whole deal.
Yeah, I was just as shocked. Actually, I think I was more shocked than anyone that came out. I can't really talk about it much, but Zach and I have been trying to do something for years, and there's 2 other times we've had a couple projects and they've hit walls. I think the 3rd time is the charm. And I spoke with him a week ago Friday, and we were just going to script stages, going to go to pages now. And he said, yeah, we're going to have a press release about our Netflix deal next week. I didn't know he was going to drop that bomb in there yet. So I was as shocked as anyone, like, oh, okay. All right. That's out there now. So yeah, like I said, can't talk about it really, but super excited about it. Obviously.
That's awesome, man. Congratulations, really. I mean, I think when the fandom read that, I mean, a lot of people were clipping that out and going, hey, look at that. Damon's going to get, this will be your first one that you fully direct, right?
It will indeed. It
yes.
will indeed.
That's exciting.
I've thought about doing that for several years, let's say. And I've had some projects come to me with financing and they didn't sing to me. And of course, the few and far between that I did like, those all hit walls. So hopefully this will be the one.
Yeah, sounds like it is. And then, when it comes to, there you go. Give a hand to Damon right there. Congratulations for sure. And then, obviously we have, Snyder's going to be doing Army of the Dead 2, and but then he's also got Rebel Moon. Now I'm kind of wondering, is anybody here? Has there been conversations about Rebel Moon with you guys? Are you guys going to be a part of it maybe, or what's happening with it?
cricket. I'll speak to it first.
Okay.
I've done every one of Zach's projects from Dawn till Army. This could be the first one I'm not on, because if my project goes, they'll be happening simultaneously.
Okay.
So I have, Zach has a member of my team that came up with me, and he'll be in very good hands. And I joked with Zach when I spoke with him a little over a week ago that, hey man, I got to come in and just get killed or something. I can't break my streak. So, I'll be an extra, I'll be whatever it takes. I got to break my streak. So hopefully that will work out timing wise.
There you go. And what about Bryan and DJ? Anything, or are you guys have there's been conversations about maybe joining Rebel Moon or anything?
Well, I talked to Zach about it, and probably Damon about it a lot over the last year and a half, maybe. Because he was writing it and trying to get it going. And I mean, I don't know. Everybody can speak to this if they want, but to me, my big lesson in my life is timing is everything, and sometimes you're in sync and sometimes you're not. And I think the funny thing about what Bryan and I are doing now is I kind of thought maybe this would help me stay in sync, after Army of the Dead and everything, and because they had another project that they were trying to do, but I think that one didn't happen, and so now this is on the front burner. But I'm not. I thought maybe I was going to do it after Flash, but I think the timing doesn't look like that's going to be possible.
Yeah, timing. Yeah. What about you, Bryan? Any conversations or anything?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Well said. And
like the bass player that he is.
Yeah, exactly. There it is. Slapping the bass. But Bryan, you actually you worked on the Suicide Squad, which is coming out in a couple of weeks. How was that experience?
my experience with it was great.
Yeah.
We sort of came in, after post had been started, so we did more of, like a supporting role on some stuff, picked up some sequences. I don't want to get too much into what we did or didn't do before releases. I think it's a week out from coming out here, but it was a lot of fun working with James and Calvin and Patrick Safran. Worked with them on Aquaman before, so it was nice for them to bring us in and have us do some stuff.
Yeah, I love how that sunlight gives you that film noir kind of look.
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
You spent some time setting that up, didn't you, Brian?
Yeah.
Did that happen? Oh,
right.
I didn't mean for that to happen. Wow, I didn't mean to look so cool, guys.
I feel like a tool. Like I should change it.
Nah, it looks awesome. What are you talking about? And Patrick, you're going to be working on the new Transformers movie, correct?
No, I'm not doing it.
Oh, IMDb lied to me. Are you kidding me?
No, I had a personal thing to take care of, and I just had to pull. Actually, I had the job, and I stepped out. And unfortunately, so no, it's funny when you go on IMDb, I'm still in there, and there's a lot of designers been doing this thing for months now. I wonder what's going on with that. But no, I pulled. I basically decided to take a sabbatic year last year, the whole year, because of all the crap and stuff. I wanted to stay home and be with the wife, kids, and I developed stuff, which I'm now going to start finally this year, and that's it. So no, I had to pass on that one.
Okay, all right, bye.
Great director on board, great people on board, and the people I had worked on Maleficent with, and I was offered the job, and it was an interesting one. But sometimes you got, like DJ says, the timing doesn't always work. So
yeah. And Patrick, you worked on a movie that does not get talked about enough when it comes to talking about sci-fi. You worked on a movie called Dark City, and I love that movie. I mean, it's such an underrated gem. Like anytime that gets brought to the conversation, I'm like, you guys got to see this movie. I mean, it's so unique, it's so different. And man, I tell you, I mean, that was kind of one of your first after Independence Day. You worked on that one. That was one of your first, right?
Yeah. Actually, this one kicked in before Independence Day, and then slowed down and then started again. Well, it's always a question of the director to me. Alex Proyas, when you see movies after movies, the stuff is done, you can tell this is a man with a huge vision, and you jump on board. And if you sync well with them, then you do good stuff because they already have something that's drafted. And this was an incredible experience. I mean, it's still one of my favorite designed movie of the stuff I've done. And like you said, it's the smallest one. I mean, scale-wise and success-wise, it's not a very fun. It has become a cult movie though, which is cool.
Oh yeah, big time.
Different from the other stuff maybe, and I'm really proud of it. Yeah, still.
Yeah. I mean, it just does not get talked about enough when it comes to an original sci-fi movie. I always try to recommend that to as many people as possible. So I'm recommending to you guys now, check out Dark City. You will not be disappointed for sure. But and then of course we have Brian and DJ. You guys are currently working on a little, possibly somebody that's on my chest right here. Little small movie called The Flash. How's that going?
Are we working on what's on Dave's chest?
Yeah.
That's another thing we got to do.
Yeah, exactly. You got to
looks finished.
I mean, the reason I got a green screen behind me, I'm hoping that I'm going to send you the footage. You guys put me in the movie somewhere in the background or something. So I just want to have a cameo. That's all. No.
Get in line. There's a lot of cameos.
Yeah, how's The Flash going?
Brian, oh wait, let me do that way.
There you go. Yeah, it's very Brady Bunch. I know.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know much what we could or should say about it. I mean, we're sort of deep.
As much as you want.
Well, right, yeah. We're kind of deep
into. Warner doesn't care about you guys talking. Just spill the beans.
Yeah,
well,
really not.
Honestly, you should just look at Twitter if you want to know.
You should just look at the internet,
which is something I wanted to ask you guys, but we'll get to there.
But yeah, I think people are working really hard, and yeah, I don't know much else what to say. Yeah, not really.
Just like the bass player, right?
Big secret right there, actually.
Yeah.
Right. It's actually a lie. Everyone's being super lazy.
What's going on? Well, what about you, DJ? What can you say? Just at least like how's it going? How's working with the Muschiettis? How's is everything going pretty as smooth as it can go?
It's going as smoothly as it can go. Yeah, I mean, we're like a little more than halfway done with the shoot, at least on paper. It says that, and it's somewhere in London, and we got locations which are all over the internet, and we do a bunch of stage work. I don't know.
I know. So when when the stuff happens, I mean, obviously we have set photos. You knew that was going to happen, but then all of a sudden you have a leaked promo, and then another like little leak too. I mean, when that happens, you guys just get around, just kind of joke about it, like you're like, well, it's out there, whatever.
First, we panic a little bit because we hope it's nobody in our department. So we verify that, and once that happens, then yeah, we're just like, wow, look at that huge thing that just exploded. Yeah, I don't know what to say about it, but it's as one of my on-set data wranglers says. Here we are. Worst kept secret at Leavesden.
I haven't seen it. I got to go online and check it out.
All over, Damon.
It was all, yeah. There's been, more than one. There was a promo that had concept art, which, was crazy. And then there was a couple of photos that, kind of showed that Keaton Batmobile, the Batcave, and a couple little things too. Yeah, I know. It was like,
we can neither confirm nor deny that any of those images are part of the show.
There you go.
Yeah.
We are live. So, you gotta disclaim that for sure. But for the most part it does add hype to it. I mean, even though it's like, oh man, that sucks. But at the same time, I mean, it was trending. Everybody was like excited. I mean, I'm not going to lie, a little nostalgia. Me seeing the Keaton Batmobile, I was like, whoa, there it is. So, I mean, it is pretty cool to actually see that and what's happening with everything. So it does build a hype. So I guess we could appreciate that a little bit. So,
Brian, they bought it. We put the Keaton Batmobile over the real Batmobile. They bought it.
They did. See,
I knew it go somewhere, right? That's going to go somewhere now.
It was you guys, messed with stuff. You put the Keaton Batmobile over the. Oh man, see,
you're supposed to use the Kilmer one.
It's just a funny dynamic though, because like if you're like a real fan, you want to know all the secrets, so you'll try to ferret these things out and you'll look for them. But what's funny, at least in my opinion, is it detracts from your ultimate enjoyment of the film to get this information beforehand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's one of those things, and especially when doing YouTube stuff, it's like I don't want to know everything, but then at the same time, I'm like also like people are like, hey, have you heard about this or about that? And now it's hard to be a fan and then of course report stuff because it's like I don't really want to talk about that, but at the same time, it's like, well, everybody and their mom is like hitting me up going, hey, you got to talk about this, you got to talk about that. It's like, yeah, I mean, I very much would love to just go in fresh. I mean, it's always nice to just go into a movie fresh, but I mean, with these movies, it's just sometimes everybody's just trying to find little things, they go to the sets, they're taking the pictures and you're seeing all that stuff. It's difficult to avoid. For sure, especially in this fast-paced internet world.
It's impossible for these big movies, especially the way they market them, and then and like the week leading up to it, they blast like 100 different commercials with little clips on it. So it's impossible to go in there blind. But I think most of these movies you'd enjoy far more if you knew nothing about it walking in.
I know. Yeah, 100%. Totally agree with that. But when it comes to The Flash, I mean, obviously, when we saw him in Zack Snyder's Justice League, the way that it was supposed to be, I mean, that scene was, I mean, I'll say it's my favorite moment in a comic book movie, and it was truly, I mean, I remember after I watched the movie the first time, I messaged Zach and I said, you motherfucker, you made me cry about 5 or 6 times, and then I was like, But good job. And that was one of the scenes where I'm just sitting there going, oh my God, they're doing it. They're doing this scene right here that I've heard about and everything. And I mean, that scene, I mean, it was truly, I mean, when you guys first saw that scene, I mean, obviously you were working on it. Bryan, you specifically worked on that scene, right?
Yeah.
The flash, yeah. I mean, just putting that all together, that just had to be just I don't know, just awesome because it's so good.
Was it awesome, Bryan?
Was it awesome, Bryan?
Well, again, like assembling these things, it's a little different, than just viewing the final project or the final product. What was good and bad about that is that's what Zack put, I think 2 or 3, I can't remember right now, of those shots, DJ, in the Hallelujah trailer. Which,
right.
When we first looked at that, I think we were like 10 weeks out from when, Zack wanted to post that. So, we really had to get into heavy development of what that would look like and how to execute those ideas. So, the bad part, we had a 10-week schedule to dev that, with the release gun at the back of your head. The good part is, we came up with something that like we really liked, DJ liked, Zack liked, the audience also really liked, and that gave us a good template for laying out the rest of that scene. So
yeah. And I always wanted to ask too, because like, and a lot of people are always asking, especially since you guys are working on the Flash movie. I mean, everybody always talks about the color of the lightning. Like, obviously, it's blue in Justice League, and I guess what we've gotten hints from just concept art and stuff like that it might be yellow in the Flash. I mean, what was like the discussions about determining, like, I mean, because obviously if you look at the source material, you can like, oh yeah, it determines how fast the speedster can go and everything like that. But when it comes to like maybe like the Flash movie, I mean, is the colors gonna be, is there gonna be a blue at one point? Is it gonna be yellow? How much could you say?
I don't want to say anything about that stuff because I think you need to watch how things unfold and why, why they're that way. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. But I mean, it was always like a question of like, like, does it, is there a specific meaning? I mean, obviously, when we're dealing with Zack, obviously he's always got like the backstory of like, everything, which is what's so great about him. So I was just like, I thought I'd sneak that question in and see like, what's going to happen. But I know, I get it. It's fine. I tried, guys. I tried. But Patrick, recently, yeah. Jumping ahead.
No,
yeah.
What?
Yeah. No, I want to do. I mean, recently you actually posted a certain image of a certain man in a bat suit that blew up on the internet, and I'm going to pull up the image right here. And I mean, such a beautiful shot. There he is. Look at that. Look at that. So you posted that recently, and So what's the backstory of posting this image?
You've seen a lot of those photos. I mean, the best one comes from Zack. Still, the one that we shot on that first test day we did in this kind of factory. I took a bunch. We all took a bunch, and I just going through my stuff recently, and I said, well, that's cool because it's really full size in there. I mean, actually, your photo doesn't show the full size, but it was kind of full size in it. I hadn't seen too many of those. I actually, I posted for the Batmobile as well. It's one of the rare shots where I could see the wing-like shaped doors, which I've always wanted this thing to look like a bat, and showed Zack the idea of this. So it's all in here, and I thought that would be a fun one to just, keep reminding people that we're still battling for the Snyder vision, and we need more of it. So it's a little hint you throw out there, because you're proud of it, but also because you want to keep putting it out there. It's something that needs to be fed all the time. So that's the whole reason for that. But I didn't expect it to make such a big deal because we had a few great ones came out before. Yeah, really. I mean, there was some really beautiful one that had been posted from the beginning, like a few years back. And so when this one did so incredibly, I was a little shocked. I like it. It's not my favorite from far, weirdly enough. I mean, I think there's some much better ones out there.
I've heard that there's other shots too that possibly have not been seen from that very shoot right there. And not to mention, I mean, when it came to that shoot, the other photos that we've seen, they've all been, monochrome, black and white. This one actually had some color into it too, which was different. So,
but at the end of the day, they are mostly the same things. They're always Batman in front of the Batmobile. Now, how many shots? I'm sure Zack took thousands of those at a day. I mean, I saw him shooting tons of things. So yes, there have to be more, but they're always going to be, the same kind of thing. The two
sure.
But it was a great day. I loved the background. I thought he looked amazing in there. It was a funny day because as we drove the Batmobile secretly on the truck, I don't know if you guys remember that, there was a huge star on top of the car on the back of a truck to hide.
Man, the secret's out.
Uh-oh. Here it comes.
I put the simulation, the whole top was flying. The Batmobile was completely in the open. And we passed it on the freeway. It was like, fuck, everybody can see it now. So, yeah, that wasn't very successful. I guess we didn't see too many pictures on the net of people taking shots of that truck on the freeway with the Batmobile.
Luckily, no.
Yeah, it's true.
I don't remember seeing any, yeah.
I was driving with my art director or something, and we're like catching up with that flying thing. We didn't even know it was a car yet. And as we come past it, we realize this whole thing is open. But anyway, we're lucky. We didn't see too much at the time.
I feel like that was something Bryan and I feel like we talked about that. Like we saw a picture, or we might have seen it. We might have actually seen it with our own eyes. Like, what the hell?
Yeah. I think somebody did post some pictures on it, but nobody knew what it was.
Right.
Yeah. It looks
it's the government secret. Like, there's a UFO. They have a UFO or something on it. Oh, look at this. Maybe that's what. Yeah. Because Bryan, I'm sure you're like, you're totally into conspiracies and stuff. Like you seem like, you're looking up photos and stuff like that. You're like, oh, wait, that's the Batmobile. Crap. No, but I don't remember seeing like too much of that. So, but
because I don't think people could ID what it was.
Doesn't even look like a car, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, you did a good job at designing. I mean, it's I would say like when it comes to Batmobiles, I mean, obviously the Keaton Batmobile is always like near and dear, when it comes to looking at a Batmobile. It's just the way it's so sleek. I mean, that's why when we saw the recent images and seeing that again, it was like, oh my God, there it is. There's that Keaton Batmobile. But all the Batmobiles have had their own unique spin. I mean, the Kilmer Batmobile, there's something unique about that. I always thought the Kilmer Batmobile was also pretty cool. The Clooney Batmobile was a little weird because it was like a go-kart because there was no roof and stuff. It was kind of interesting how they designed that one. And then of course you had the tumbler, but then Patrick, when you designed the Batfleck Batmobile, I mean, I know it went from like being on a cocktail napkin to and now we have it. I mean, just that thing is just a thing of beauty. So.
In some ways, when you mentioned the Keaton Batmobile, it was the influence still for me. It was very strong. Of all the Batmobile, there was a bit of the Tumbler as well, which was very clever. It was felt a little bit too military, although it's an incredible design. I thought the whole concept of the cockpit further back on the car became sort of like a trademark of the new vehicles. We had that on the Flying Fox as well. You push back almost like an old Corvette kind of thing. And I was very influenced by that Batmobile. I thought it was an amazing one, and we all like that one. It's still it's still the best Batmobile. End of story. I
want to know. I agree with you, Patrick, and I want to know from Dave, what is cool about the Kilmer one?
I don't know. I think it's just because I have a soft spot for Batman Forever. I even kind of, I've said it before. I'll say it again. I kind of like it. I like it better than Batman Returns. I actually just probably like a month ago, I did a live watch of it. It's just one of those.
I'm out of here.
Okay. All right. Sorry. Got rid of DJ. He's not a fan of the Kilmer.
DJ, no.
I don't know. There's just a little soft spot when it comes to that. And but hopefully
you should get that checked. Probably
I should get that. Yeah. I have an appointment next week. I'm like, why do I like this movie so much? No, but hopefully we could get the Schumacher cut, which we'll see what happens with that. I don't know if maybe that'll change your mind, DJ. Possibility.
It would change my mind if I would ever watch it.
Give it a chance. Just pour some drink. No, not gonna do it. Huh?
No,
that's just one that you can't get in that bad. What about Batman and Robin? Probably not that either, right?
I saw that. with a friend of mine when it was in the theater. We had come out of another movie and it was playing next door, and we thought, should we at least see what Joel Schumacher did second time around? And we snuck into the theater and stood there and watched them ice skate for a minute and walked back out and never watched the movie after that.
Hey, you know what? Batman and Robin have apparently ice skates in their costumes. I love the fact
not in any version I ever knew or ever liked. They never
At
had.
least you saw the coolest part of the movie, DJ, when you walked in.
Correct.
Oh, a lot of wire work in that scene. Lot of wire work. That's for damn sure. Where it was not even like it wasn't like they were even trying to hide it. It was pretty interesting. But Damon, I also wanted to, speaking of like, doing fight scenes and stuff like that. I mean, I had Richard Citron on, about a month and a half ago. Great dude, just a great dude. And I mean, yeah, Richard is just awesome. And I love the fact that he was the star of Army of the Dead, and he did a fantastic job as Zeus. But I mean, the stunt, and I've said it before, and I'll say it all the time, is like the stunt community just does not get recognized enough. There should be an Academy Award category for stunt work, because I mean, the work you guys do. And I know Eunice was actually going to be joining us today, but she couldn't make it, and she's like part of the crew too. And she's done a fantastic job with the movies she's done. But man, I mean, I tell you what, when it comes to the stunt, I mean, there's in the work that you guys did, of course, on Justice League and on BBS. I mean, that warehouse scene. I mean, I know doing all that. I mean, it's just, I just always want to commend the work that you guys do when it comes to stunt coordination. So,
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And how'd you get involved when it came to like getting into the world of the stunt community?
Wow. Great question.
Yeah.
I started making
the origin story. I want to get the origin story. Yeah.
Sorry, guys, this is going to take a while. Sorry. No, look,
just mute your mics. Go to the bathroom.
Look, I started making Super 8 films when I was 10. I made a zombie movie. I made a sword fighting movie. I made a sci-fi movie. And I actually studied acting a bit in my teens and loved everything about filmmaking, but I was always very physical. So the action side of it really drew me in. And it was years of training. Didn't know really anyone in the business. So it was years of training and doing non-union work and you're trying to get the SAG card. And after years and years and years of growing and training and putting the time in, the doors started to open slowly, and it was a long process, but and it was great, obviously, being able to collaborate with Zack finally. I'd worked on a handful of movies that I liked that I'd worked on, but Zack and I, we met over 25 years ago. He was doing commercials and I was doing features and TV, and we met outside the business actually and became friends and had a lot of common interests. Always joked about, hey, it'd be great, if I ever start doing, or when I start doing features, Zack would say, it'd be great if we could work together. And, it was amazing to have someone of his caliber to collaborate with. And, I often have said this before, that he's brilliant with what he does, but he's also incredibly physically talented. So he would have made an amazing stuntman if he wanted to go that route, because he'll demo stuff and, that we're trying to get stunt performers to do. No, let's do it here, Zack. Let's do it. We'll demo something. They're like, oh, okay. Yeah, just do it like that. Okay.
That's a good Zack Snyder impression right there. Do it like that. I mean, that was perfect right there. I love that. Yeah. And I wanted to ask too, like, how did, like, I mean, obviously when it comes to like a dream team kind of crew, I mean, this is it, plus Eunice, of course, and maybe even Citron too. Like, I mean, all these guys, I mean, how did this all kind of come to be? Like, I mean, obviously, Bryan, DJ, you guys have been working together for quite a long time. I mean, Bryan, you put up with DJ like how long?
Longer than me.
It's closing in on 30 years.
Nice.
Wow.
Oh man.
Wow.
Oh yeah. What's the 30-year anniversary? What anniversary is that? Is it silver, gold? What is it? I don't know.
Not gold. I think it's silver.
No, but how did so when kind of like, was it kind of just like with Zach and everything, you kind of just, or was it before that where you guys kind of all just gelled together? I mean, you talk about like connection. I mean, obviously if we're hearing that all you guys are working on something, I mean, especially when it comes to Justice League and how beautiful that the whole thing was. I mean, how did it all kind of come to be? Just look at the, just timing and stuff like we talked about.
You mean how did the connection with Zach?
Yeah.
That's probably a timing thing. I think more than anything, like Damon said, he'd already been working with Zach. I think at the time I was doing a lot of 911 jobs, and Annie Colby, head of visual effects at Warner Brothers, had been trying to, I guess, pull me back in there. Because I did the Matrix sequels, and then I kind of left and tried to quit, and that didn't work. And then and then did some other stuff. So a couple of other films like Fix It Jobs, which I also sucked Bryan into. And then she called me up to talk to me about Watchmen, which I didn't know was about Watchmen, and then ended up getting that job. Because that was right after 300, right, Damon? It was like Dawn of the Dead 300 and then that. So that's how I got connected to those guys and brought Bryan into that as well. And for me, that was the movie that kicked it off, and kind of went through the whole cycle all the way up through Justice League pretty much. And Patrick came in on Batman versus Superman. And, we just kind of like rode that one first to a tragic detour, and then finally brought it home last year.
Amen.
Yeah, good. Seriously. I mean,
the original version.
The original, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, okay. Is it true that the studio did not understand the time travel Flash? Like, they didn't understand like what was happening with that. I mean, it was kind of funny too, because recently David Goyer spoke about how he got a note from the studio from Man of Steel about like, why would you destroy the pod? How is Superman going to get back to Krypton? And you kind of just go, like,
I think I know who probably said that. By the way, and it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Look, I've been called out on Twitter for saying that line about the studio not understanding the time travel thing, and I 1000% stand behind it. Good. So there you go. They did not.
I mean, and it's just unbelievable when you actually see the scene. You're like, how? I mean, but then at the same time, like I said, when Goyer came out and said like they gave that note, and you're like, I mean, do these guys even know like what the like it Krypton blew up. Hello. Okay. It's like it's not there anymore. It doesn't. Okay. So yeah, it is always interesting. But yeah, the fact that they didn't understand like that concept was it's just it is pretty baffling. Like because it's such, like I said, it's such a great scene. So and and feel free, DJ, if you want to name that person. Go ahead. Oh.
No need to. They're not there anymore. So
hey, well,
yeah. There, you can whittle it down from there.
I love it. I love it. So, what I wanted to ask you guys too is about the Green Lantern scene that was supposed to be in the Snyder Cut, and I mean, obviously, the full scene was not. You guys didn't do the actual scene, but I mean, of course, Zach has like a still shot that somebody did with all that. But did anybody like work on anything like on that scene or anything, Bryan?
Am I pointing the right way?
Yeah.
Sorry, Bryan. I keep calling you out. I don't mean to do it. Yeah, come on, Damon, help me out. Patrick, get in on this.
Wow.
Wait.
Oh, yes.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say about it. Like Zach has an image on his phone.
Yeah,
like maybe we did some stuff that got replaced with other stuff.
Oh, there you go. That's well put right there. Well put. I mean, because yeah. When we heard about that scene, I mean, apparently at one point that it was filmed, Ben filming the other part of that scene. So there was literally, I think it was like took more place at night or something like that, and it was like they had that, but then of course it got repurposed to Martian Manhunter, so then they reshot it with Ben, which was more like, I guess, you know, they made it more. It was more, you know, of course, morning, but originally it was supposed to be like at night, right?
Well, it's like daybreak.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it was kind of like way early morning kind of thing.
Yeah, like I don't think the sun had broken the horizon, but it, you know,
Right.
There's something like that. And that's one of the, I mean, when it comes to VFX, you know, I've always talked about how the reason why, I mean, when you watch a Zack Snyder film, and I mean, even like other films too, that when, and I always said this, like, if you have something in broad daylight, sometimes, yeah, you can maybe see some of the seams, but it seems like Zack always has like these big elaborate, you know, shots where it's either like it's at daybreak, it's dusk, or at night, and it just kind of, I don't know, it just makes things kind of just look a little bit more crisp, you know, because, you know, you'll have some movies where it's like broad daylight and you're kind of going, I could see it's that green screen, you know, and I'm like, you know, but it seems like Zack always tries to do those like shots when it's like not a lot of light that's happening or anything, right?
Yeah, I guess, but I mean, I think the other thing too is it has to do with the story, and it has to do with how you play the drama too. I mean, we did a ton of shots in daylight in Man of Steel, you know, and
yeah,
hopefully there's no seams in there. I like that work in that movie, and that was a big daytime movie because Superman a lot of times is a daytime character, you know, and I think that once you get into Batman territory, he, you know, comic book lore wise works best at night. So that's where a lot of that comes from. It's just, to me, it's just, you know, drama. It's all just how you want to play the drama.
And when it came to that hero shot of the movie, I'm taking it that was definitely you guys doing this shot right here, which everybody just was, you know, I mean, when this shot happened in the movie,
right?
Yeah, I mean,
that is a Patrick Tatopoulos painting.
Oh, wow. Well, there you go. So there you go, Patrick too.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting when I saw that. It reminded me. It's a little bit like it. Yeah, you're right. It's that concept we did back in time.
Yeah, Patrick, we were told specifically when we were doing Zack's cut that we needed to go back to your concept art and do that frame. So
I am very touched. Thank you so much, guys.
There it is.
Like, are you a little bit angry that it's not exactly like your painting?
Yeah, I know. Sorry, dude.
I was like, you know, no.
That's right.
You allowed me to be a part of that reshoot, which I wasn't much of a part of. But so that puts me in the loop. That's really cool.
Wait a minute. Did you just say that you wanted us to put you in that photo as well? You wanted to be a part of that?
That would have been pretty damn cool if he was someone.
I was. When I painted it, I was on that photo.
Because that would be cool.
That would be. No, it's such a beautiful shot. I mean, and I think, one of my favorite shots of that final act actually was, you know, obviously when it was like Batman versus the Parademons, and it was this shot right here of just bam, like, I mean, that shot right there with like the Parademon just hitting that whatever it is, and the Batmobile in the background. One of my favorite shots of the whole movie right there. And so who's responsible for that? Because good job.
Patrick.
That guy there. Now you can point up because where you're at. Good job, Brian. I love that shot.
Right, cool. Like it's fun.
Why is it opposite? It's bullshit.
I know.
It's such a weird thing. Yeah.
Patrick, you know what it is? Unacceptable.
Inside joke. Yeah, no. I just, I absolutely, when I saw that shot, I was like, I don't know how many times I've rewound that shot because I just love how it plays, and then just the way, the look of it, and just to see that Parademon just get, you know, decapitated by that whatever it is, and to have the Batmobile in the background. I mean, man, just such good shot.
I will say this about that work. And when we did it this time around, there were a lot of shots that were post-viz, partially done, that were eliminated from the other cut really early on. And so when I had to resurrect those scenes, when we had to put them back online, I kind of had this idea to split up the interior silo work from the exterior Russia work. And even though Bryan hadn't touched any of that stuff the first time around, I had him take all the exterior stuff over. So you get that. And then Weta did the interior silo stuff. And it ended up working out really well. But I want to give those guys, both teams a ton of credit for that, because it was probably extra difficult for them not having ever had to look at that, those environments or any of that setup before. But I really love the way it came out. It came out really beautifully. And I know Zach was really happy, and hopefully Patrick's happy too, because we went back to the original sort of darker, scarier scheme for that whole environment and that whole fight.
I was beyond happy. I mean, it was amazing. It was shocking for me to see how much stuff was shot by Zach and stuff that were probably before that we didn't see on that first weird version of it. It was really, it was, listen, it's not about the production design or whatever, but when you develop something with a director with a certain look, and then the movie comes out and there's purple everywhere, there's stuff like that everywhere, it's not a good feeling. It's tough, because people are going to judge you by that stuff, and this is not what we were intending to do. So it was really, really painful for that reason. So, and also, I couldn't believe how many of the things, like I said, we had shot those moments, those scenes that came back and that I'd forgotten. And so beyond the fact that I really digged out and I just had the best time watching the film, I was like someone that's never worked on it. I really looked at it like I was, just a regular spectator, because it was such an explosion of things that I'd forgotten. But seeing all those things come back, I was like, wow, this was all done. And where was it? It was amazing. So yeah, I was beyond happy to see how it turned out, obviously,
Yeah, and then even like when it came to the time of the initial reshoots, that must have been pretty difficult to just be like, when they're like, no, we're going to remove this, we're going to remove that, we're going to remove this. Just to see kind of like that work, just kind of go, oh, it's not going to be part of it. That had to be grueling. I don't know if anybody was like a part of that, but that had to be just very, just like, man, you have this right here and it's not going to be in it. It's not going to be in it, I don't know if anybody.
The only time Bryan and I actually approved of something or got really jazzed about something during those reshoots was when we walked into a set with Patrick, and there was a giant water tower that Patrick was forced to put in there, because I know Patrick hates water towers. So Bryan and I made sure that he knew that we were going to take that one water tower and put it everywhere.
Yeah.
I remember that, DJ. That water tower. That was. Water towers, that was our deal.
Yeah.
Always that interesting book about water towers, and it's still going on, obviously.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting and great that Patrick hates water towers so much.
Yes.
Huh. Okay. Is there a reason why?
Yeah, a bit weird and very specific.
Of any size?
Very specific that it's a water tower?
Yeah, I tried to bring a French texture to the movie, and there's no water towers in France. We don't see water towers in France, so I tried to bring a little bit of a French flavor. So I had to abandon. I don't want to do water towers. No, listen. I think water towers are part of a huge. We've seen them. They're everywhere on that. The old New York City thing. And actually, at the end of the day, I really like them. I don't know where. I don't really remember the trigger of that story, DJ. Why was I so upset about water tower?
You should make up a better backstory, like a water tower killed your whole family or something like that.
That's what it is. Yeah, some kind of traumatic event about a water tower. Yes. There was one in your hometown that just freaked you out or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. The way that it was, the color schemes.
I think you were complaining, Patrick, that they were too identifiable as something from New York.
Right.
And then to see them everywhere, they were like old New York. And like, why would they be here? Mm-hmm. And then DJ, well, we're going to put them everywhere.
Yeah.
On the same token, when we did the first drawings of Gotham City, there was one version of it that I done where it was fire escapes everywhere, like thousands of fires. So he created a look of like a weird scaffolding look. We didn't end up doing this, and that's probably for the best. But yeah, sometimes your stuff you want to pull out and you want to bring some other things and just overextend it. So I like when things are. So I was not the water tower. I was more the fire escape guy. DJ was more of the water tower guy.
I don't know that I'm the water tower guy. I just wanted to give you some hassle.
No, I know. The tough thing for the designers, at one point we step out and visual effects still on board, and they're going to put whatever they want to put on that film.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a great time, man. What a good time.
Yeah. It seems like it would have been a weird time. Just for, I mean, Damon, were you even involved in any of the reshoots? That, yeah. I mean, I know
I was involved in the Snyder Cut reshoots. Luckily, I was not. Look, everybody, you gentlemen can speak for yourselves, of course, but many people were asked to go do it by Zack to try and facilitate. And at one point, he called me and he's like, I go, don't ask me to go, dude. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. I go, there's no way I can't do it. And he goes, no, I get it. He goes, at one time I was thinking it'd be good. You know, he was just trying to hold on. I believe he was trying to keep his team there to keep as much of his vision alive. I believe was the intent. I can't speak for him, and I'll let you guys speak to that. But luckily, I was not there.
Yeah. No, you're right about that, Damon. Is that I was actually in editorial with David Brenner when David Brenner was telling me he couldn't be a part of it, and I was just mouthing the end of that sentence. You know, me either, and he told me he wanted me to stay, and I don't have a lot of regrets in my life, or maybe I do. I think I have a lot of regrets. I said it. And this would be one of them. So there you go. Yeah. I mean, look there were a ton of personal reasons to not do that. And I stayed because of Zack asking me to. And actually, I would say, you know, I knew Damon wasn't going to be a part of that, but Patrick and Bryan were, not to mention, you know, a lot of people on my team that were still at Warner Brothers doing it, and a lot of other teams I'd already been working with, not just on this movie, but, you know, past Zack movies. And I did consciously think about
Rich. She asked Rich to stay. Rich.
I kind of thought, if I'm just thinking of myself, maybe I walk away, but what does it do to everybody that I've been working with, you know, to help get through this very difficult time, at least make it as painless as possible. So that's one of the reasons I stayed. It was still incredibly painful, and working with Zack and Damon and Bryan again on the Snyder Cut was incredibly cathartic, which I've said before, and that's the great thing about it.
And Damon, like when it comes to the additional photography with Joker and Batman, I mean, essentially, are you the opposite person on each coverage? Like you got Batman and then we got Joker. Is that you? And then are you Batman when it's Joker coverage?
No, Rich was Batman.
Obviously. Oh, it was Rich.
Yeah, what happened was it was minimal stuff. We had 3 days we shot additional footage, you know, two small sequences. And the actors' schedules were really tight. So Jared could only come in one day. Ben could only come in one day. And then we had a day. Ray was able to be there, I think, 2 days. Amber was there 2 days, etc. So they were just trying to figure the whole thing out. And Zack also wanted to give Jared, and you probably talked to Snyder about this, but he wanted to give Jared just time, just give him that day. So in order to keep things under wraps as best possible, you know, we could, unlike what's going on in The Flash. He didn't want to bring in another actor to double Jared, and he just said, "Look, would you mind getting in costume and you know, reading for Ben and or Rich?" And I said, I thought about it, and absolutely, just, you know, help keep things under wraps, keep it in the family. So you know, basically there was Jared had a day with Rich, and then Rich and I had a day, and then Ben and I had a day.
Oh, okay. So that's how it worked. Yeah. I mean, it is funny too, because when you watch that scene, I mean, it's so, when you talk about Batman and Joker scenes, like face to face, I mean, I'm so glad that Zack he knew that we needed to have in this newer like DC world, we needed to have that exchange and talk about just nailing it with an exchange. Like, let's put it in the nightmare world, and let's just have them push each other's buttons. Mm-hmm. And then, let's have Batman drop an F-bomb, which I was like, yes. And I think a lot of us were. And it was like, and it was funny too, because when that whole information came out, I was like, oh, it's going to be towards the Joker. It can't be towards anybody else but the Joker. Joker has been a thorn in his side for like 20 years. Of course it's going to be towards the Joker. And it was just so beautifully executed, and just that whole atmosphere of the scene was just, it was a thing of beauty. And I'm sure like you guys probably thought that. Patrick, were you actually any part of the additional photography too?
Yeah.
I was a part of all of it. It was all mine.
It was Mira. It's the Mira double.
There's that presence. I was that kind of presence on the corner of the stage when they shot. No, I was not. Okay. I was not. It was great to be part of the original Nightmare scene that Zack had shot before, kind of the direction he went, and so I felt kind of part of it in some way. But obviously, no, there was nothing for me to do. This is the thing. I don't know if audience know that, is like when we build sets, when we create things like that, the VFX scans those sets. They're able to recreate anything you have in the movie. It's important to know because, talking about the Green Lantern, when the Green Lantern is landing by the glass house, it's obviously a CG shot, 3D or 2D or whatever it is, and all those things there's no need to be there anymore. It's much easier to create around the character and build up that world actually around. So when you work on the original one, you still feel like you're part of it, obviously, because some of those things we had created all together. But no, there was no need for me to be.
I still think you shouldn't have torn down that house in Detroit.
Yeah, you should have left it up, man.
No, but cool. That's so ridiculous that we had to do this. That kills me today still. No, because it was a practical home with a little bit of work. We could have made it a real. It was kind of real actually already, but
Yeah, it was awesome.
It's
amazing.
So disappointing. Yeah.
Oh, but Patrick's right. I mean, despite it being gone, and even with the nightmare scene and everything else, it's like those were all recreated. And the geography all made sense. We struggled with that to make it all work within whatever that world was we were trying to recreate. It was fun to kind of wrap our heads around that again.
I have a question for you guys, the VFX guys. Hey, what happened? I was so loving the scene with the tank. How did that come up to bring the tank back, the War Machine? No,
yeah, War Machine. Yeah, that was one of the things I wanted to talk about too, because beautiful shot.
Did you design that? I said, what to design that? This thing is already it's out there. It's been out there for years, and those guys made it look better. But so I was wondering, how did that happen?
Well, DJ, you should tell a story. But Patrick, you know why you think it looks better than the Frank Miller one? Because we tried to add in some influences from your Batwing and your Batmobile. So you're seeing yourself,
and your Nightcrawler, all this stuff. So it was inspiring.
And those are probably the details you like because of your self-infatuation.
The details you like. I've always loved that thing. I just say
everybody loves that thing. Yeah.
But DJ, you should tell the story about how that.
Yeah.
Really? Let's just say there were a lot of requests toward the end to try to get a lot of cool stuff going, and that was a request that came in at the 11th hour, and I honestly didn't know if we could accommodate it because it was a very complicated shot, and although it was something that Zack was going to shoot, I'm sorry, Zack had shot an element. Damon, you were there when you shot Ben in the BVS bat suit. He was supposed to be standing on a bridge. Oh. And Bryan had done a couple of animatics, a couple of post-viz selects based on conversations Bryan and I had to make it look like, because you know what it was, Patrick? It was supposed to take the place of, when we shot Rich on the top of the building looking out at the
right,
something like that. It was supposed to take the place of that. And even though Zack shot that originally, he wanted to not do that completely because there was a version of that with the Batwing rising up in the other version,
Right.
and none of that made sense. So we were trying to stay as far away from that as possible. So I could tell that this was going to be a thing that he really, really wanted. And I guess on some level, I mean, I think everyone on this call, loves Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns. It's like, that's everybody's inspiration for everything. So this became a thing that we can kind of get behind too. But I did talk to Zack for a while about, dude, I don't know. I don't know that we could get this done in time. And then finally, Bryan and I talked a little bit internally, and we both agreed he really wants this, and I personally am not going to hear the end of it unless we just do it. So let's just do it.
Well, it's one of those things, right? Like when Zack was shooting it, we were like, well, it's so late. We really only have time to put it in this city environment, and that will be a stretch. And then when Zack approached you with that, and you're like, I don't know, and I believe that Zack's like, well, if we can't do it, let's not do it.
Right.
But then we talked about it. We're like, well, he's saying that today, but he's never going to let this go. And then we're only going to have less time to do it later.
Yeah.
Like we should just do it. And then he did a couple zigs and zags on the way to the finish line. Anyway.
But look at the result. Everybody.
No, it's great. It's just and you have to understand too. It's like, it's never my job. I don't ever want to tell him no. I don't want to tell him no at all because I love all the ideas and I want to accommodate all of them. But just to play my tiny violin here, this is a project that by all rights should have had a year to complete. And we were told by the studio, go do it. By the way, you have half that time to do it. You have like 6 months. And we're just like, what? And I think in their minds, it was like, well, all you're doing is resurrecting this version that 2/3 of the work had already been done. But by the end of the day, by the end tally was like, we had done a full CG movie's worth of shots, in 6 months. It was like 2,700 shots by the time we were done. And it was breakneck. And it was also just an archival nightmare and forensics nightmare. And I think that was the sort of pressure that I personally was feeling on my end. It's like, look, we're trying to get all this other stuff resurrected. Now we're going to put this new thing in here, that we never thought of before. Okay. So yeah.
We'll do it. And then just a little added bonus of, hey, let's put goggles on the guys that are tied up right here.
That was my idea. Sorry.
That was good, dude. I mean, it was funny because when we first saw that little teaser, like when Zack was releasing them day by day, like each character's teaser, and we saw that shot. I mean, I don't think anybody actually spotted that at first, but as soon as somebody spotted that, it was like, wow, geez, those little details right there. So that was your idea, huh, DJ?
Well, Bryan knows that I'm guilty of this. I don't always, but sometimes I have these little realizations like, oh, what if we just did this little thing here? And that was my ask of Bryan that fortunately he agreed might be a cool thing to do. Or maybe both of us thought Zack's going to ask for that anyway. So let's
You're thinking ahead.
Do it now.
Yeah.
Well, and we liked the idea of them being sort of like the proto mutants. We gave them the glasses, but not the other costume details, like not like those T-shirts, with the slogans on them or some of the
right. We actually did have a conversation with Zack about the potential timeline. Because I actually said, do we think that he would have that then? And he said, I think he's been developing it, and it's a pointer to the Dark Knight Returns story. So it could be something like, he uses it for a while, and then he goes dark for 10 years, like you see at the beginning of that story. And then someday, Patrick, Damon, Bryan, and I team up with Zack to make Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns.
Yes.
How's that?
We know that Zack always said that he wants to, he would love to do a full on. I mean, obviously he took pieces from it. I mean, he took pieces from a lot of things, but which is always great. But he wants to do a full on adaptation of it, and I think that would be just something great. And and then speaking of Batman, I mean, I'm going to ask the serious question here. Does anybody know who drew up that image of Batman going down on Catwoman? Anybody? Where the-
I'm not getting in the middle of that.
Yes.
Really not.
No, I mean, obviously when that came about, and man, that was absolutely fantastic. But everybody was trying to like, back engineer and be like, where did that come from?
No
it's very
comment from me.
No comment from Damon. So, so maybe Damon kind of knows it. And it was funny too, because then Warner Brothers did you got copyright. It was like, all right, interesting. Okay. But I mean, everybody has a copy of that image, and it blew up the internet. I mean, Zack knows how to definitely blow up the internet when it comes to posting things. And that image right there was just, hilarious. I'm sure you guys had a good laugh behind the scenes about it.
Yeah, he shared. Yeah, we're on a thread together.
Yeah.
So we kind of bounce ideas back and things back and forth, and that was one that I woke up to in London, and I remember texting Bryan because he was the only one awake because Damon was probably asleep at the time. I was like, what is this now? It kind of took off from there.
Oh man, because I mean, it was such like a weird thing, a weird piece of news when it came to the Harley Quinn show, and then it was like, all right, and then a couple days later, Zack just goes, "There you go," and just drops a mic. It's just one word, canon, and it was a beautiful thing. Yeah. Absolutely.
Zack is a literary genius, so I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, I'm going to bring in a couple of colleagues to the panel right here. Damon, you know this man right here, Mr. Stephen Colbert, and Mr. Scott McClellan. They wanted to join in to the conversation. What's happening, guys?
What's up?
Hey, you guys. Nice to see you all.
Steven, how are you?
Good. How's it going?
Hey, Scott.
Hello.
Yeah. Nice shirt, Scott. I like it.
Oh, I mean, I had to represent your merchandise. I mean, it's just what happens. I know where my bread is buttered. I get it. I play the game.
My favorite drawing. Yes, it definitely is. But thank you guys for joining in, and joining in the conversation. It's been a fun one. Of course, you joined in right after the whole Batman going down question right there. So
that's very sort of on brand for you, Dave. So I understand that. Yeah,
so. Yeah. Of course.
I was gonna say I put in the chat, and nobody was taking blame for drawing the image. I was waiting for everyone to point at Bryan again when you said who drew that. This is everyone. That was the answer up until that point, and then.
Awesome. He's still being quiet now.
Yeah.
We all point to Patrick.
Yeah. There you go. Maybe we
can get this one to work.
Yeah, now they're all shuffled around. Yeah, there we go.
Well, because Patrick is now the Alice of
you are now the Alice
panel. So
let me
leave it to Scott to know the right order.
I need a screen grab of that.
There you go. Take a screen grab. There you go. Yeah.
And who is the center square in Hollywood Squares? Because it's feeling a little bit more like that.
Paul Lynn. Paul Lynn was the center.
Paul Lynn, yeah. Paul Lynn.
Yeah, he always was in that middle there. It wasn't.
Yep.
Yeah. There you go. So there you go, Patrick. Paul Lynn, Alice, whatever you want to be. But Stephen, Scott, I mean, have at it. If you got some questions and stuff like that, add to the conversation.
Well, I don't know if they want me to ask questions because I did decide to do a little. I did a little IMDb spelunking on your guys' like all of your careers, and
oh no,
I have to say you've been with me for most of my life, and you guys have done some great work. So you might want to sweat a little bit before I start trying to figure out what question I'm going to ask. But something that I did want to bring up is you four have such an amazing camaraderie, and I'm really kind of curious. In the actual production process, like, is there really times during the making of any of these movies, and is it any different between a Zack production and a different kind of production, where are you all ever working together at the same time, or is it more like links in a chain where Patrick does his work, then hands it off, and it just kind of goes down the production chain through the making of the movie?
No, we're all working together simultaneous. Obviously we'll have big production meetings where we're all in there trying to get some work done, joking. But no, I mean, it's once we're on board. Everybody's got different aspects we're working on, and they cross all the time. I got to go talk to Patrick about set builds, design. DJ and Bryan and I are always in constant communication because everything has to mesh together.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is it something like I think about something like, you know, I'm gonna let Patrick enjoy this because I do have this puppy right here.
Look at that. Nice.
You know, nice little Mattel.
Is that the Tim Burton one? No.
No, this is this is nice little Mattel, you know, reproduction that they have. But something like that where like you design the car and then someone has to go and actually build it physically, but then you have to do like
Digital.
a chase scene, you know, like in BVS, or even say like the shot you guys were talking about, the end of Zack Snyder's Justice League. And I'm just really kind of curious, like how do all the pieces fall together when you're building giant action pieces like that?
Well, DJ, I mean, I think for me, it's like, first of all, the first part of the job is to design the thing, we build it, and then we can use it maybe in static moments. We know we have sometimes practical cars like we did, but at the end of the day, it's the shot that's going to dictate if you use that car, if the car does everything you need for that shot, or it has to be a CG version of it, I feel. So at one point, it becomes, it's not, I don't believe it is either practical or CG, is whatever's going to do the best result for the director's vision, what he wants, you know? So I don't build thinking it's not going to be used. I don't build thinking it's going to be used everywhere. You just first want to make sure you have your car and you can use it and play with it, you know? So, I mean, Damon, you remember the test we did in the desert when that first prototype was built to start seeing how it reacted, and the guys, all the stunt guys developed that car to the point where it was actually partially doing everything they wanted to a certain extent. So
there's a lot of the real car in Batman vs Superman. There's a whole chase full of the real car.
Yeah, absolutely. But, you know, I just wanted to say something about the camaraderie, though. I feel, because I've worked on other movies, like those guys have worked on other movies, I usually have good relationship with all the teams. You know, we're kind of friendly. But what's happening with that group is, I think it's because Zack is the man, and I'm not saying that to be nice or whatever. Zack really brings a sense of camaraderie. The way he walks on set, the way he talks to the people, we feel like we're just a bunch of buddies. And I think that vibe carries on across the border with everyone. And of course, we have more affinity maybe with, you know, the four of us. I think we kind of like the same stuff. We're kind of similar people, but I think he goes across the border. I think it's because he brings it to the table. He comes in as that guy, and he's got his team around, and we're all buddies. You know, I think it's definitely because I've never had it to that level on other films I've worked on. Like I said again, they're always, most of the time, great experience, but not like that.
Speaking of the Batmobile, we quick plug, I guess, because it's obligatory. My podcast with Andrew Dice, Batman v Superman by the Minute. We have an episode dedicated. We had Tim Rigby came on for a couple minutes of the movie to talk to us about the process of building it. And one of our favorite parts was him talking about getting down on hands and knees with toy cars to kind of engineer that scene. So I want to know how many of you have been on your knees with the toy cars to get this set up, and why don't we have stunt viz of that like we do of some of these other scenes being set up? I'd love to see a stunt viz version of the Batmobile chase scene with toy cars and sound effects.
Yeah.
It's funny, I did a stop motion for another movie after that with Hot Wheels, and it came out great because it's way too complicated to go get the real vehicles and do a big chase. It's too expensive, right?
Yeah.
But we literally I don't know, did I just cut out? I don't know. But anyway, we were literally
you're here.
in our office, Tim and I creating a sequence, and Zack, it was early morning and Zack was working out. We were in Michigan on BVS, and we were running down, and he was at the end of his workout, and he was like crouched down, you know, hyperventilating after his workout, and we're like, okay, here are the beats. What do you think of this? And it was, that's the way you always do it with chases. If you, I mean, it's amazing what you can do with Hot Wheels.
Yeah.
You know, one of the previews I was actually gonna like, was there ever like any when it came to, I mean, obviously when it came to Zack Snyder's Justice League and Lex Luthor escapes, I mean, there was always like a talk about there maybe was like a previs when it came to Deathstroke breaking out Lex Luthor from Arkham. Was there ever a previs like a stunt viz, like anything with that, or was that just purely concept?
I don't remember anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was probably just purely just concept, like, and it was mainly just going, and we don't need to show it. He's out. And the reveal is going to be shocking enough because, I mean, when I talked to Citrone, there was that previs video of Batman going to the parademon nest, which was an awesome previs, such an awesome previs, and a lot of us were kind of going, oh man, I mean, if only that could have made the final product, but it never left previs. It was just like, hey, well, we're not going to end up doing that, but man, that would have been such a fantastic scene to see. If
we were all huge fans of that. That was
too scary.
Scary. I was about to say,
scary, right,
Ryan, I was like, right. That's one of the scary ideas. One of the numerous scary ideas. And speaking of another scary idea, I think one of the biggest scary idea was to have Lois. Torched Lois. I mean, obviously that was probably something that Zack always kind of wanted to have in there. And when it came to that shot of Cyborg getting those visions, I mean, obviously that was something that was also added to the Snyder Cut too, right? That was, I mean, maybe it was originally like a concept, but it was not fully originally in the original production.
There was always the idea of the ship trying to get Cyborg, trying to get the message to Cyborg not to do this.
Yeah.
That something horrible would happen. And we did have a lot of ideas that I think that Zack has shown with that whiteboard about what was to come. So I think a lot of the foreshadowing made it, kind of fleshed out the idea of, here's why you don't do this. Here's why you don't bring Superman back to life. Maybe.
Yeah, because I mean, you kind of had to get a little creative with some of those shots too, right? Like showing Superman crouched down and Darkseid showing up behind him, putting his hand on his shoulder. You kind of got a little creative with all that because you didn't have Cavill. Cavill was not part of any of the additional photography.
No, because the idea was, it's like Damon had the 3 days, like he said.
Yeah.
And that was shot. That was for certain specific things, but we kind of had all the pieces that we needed to make those other things.
Yeah. And they turned out so well. Man. Scott, did you have something else too?
Well, I'm waiting on the this is your life portion of the interview when I start pulling out some of these really funny jobs you guys have done, because I'm just like, it was really fun was when I started like connecting the dots and like drawing arrows of like, oh, they did that movie together, and they were all involved in the same one. But what I really wanted to start off, and I had a question for Damon, I really wanted to ask him, was when you're looking at how jobs get credited in movies, and I always find it interesting, like what qualifies as this versus that. And I was looking on your credits, and there was a delineation there between a stunt performer and then an actor. And I was really kind of curious, like what technicality moves you from one category into the other?
Well, they're different contracts, one. But actors generally just are saying lines, delivering lines. And obviously, if you're a star or you have a larger role, you may have to do some action, perform some action. There are strictly stunt people, and then there are stunt actors. So sometimes there's dialogue that needs to be delivered, and this person's going to have to do some action. So there are stunt actor roles as well. But as far as stunt person, actor, they're just two different contracts and two different skill sets.
Okay. Well, shout out, because you're in a little film that I really enjoy, because you're listed as balcony shooter for the David Mamet film Spartan with Val Kilmer, and I just have to say I love that film, and thank you for being a part of it.
A lot of Val Kilmer talk.
I know.
I don't know how I get balcony shooter, but yeah.
Wait. We don't want DJ to leave again. If we're going to talk about that movie.
DJ, I think, can politely, just be patient while we talk a little bit about Kilmer.
I'll stay for Damon, not for Val Kilmer. Although I do love Val Kilmer. I love him. Real genius. What can I say? Real
genius. Oh, yeah. That's a classic that, a lot of people need to watch that one too. Yeah. Real Genius was one of my favorite 80s, like big time 80s kind of movies right there. You know, when it comes to, and I want to see the new doc too, the new Val Kilmer doc. I'm curious to see like what that's all about.
That looks great.
That looks really great. Yeah,
you know, especially since what he's been through in the past couple of years, and just the iconic roles that man's had. I mean, obviously my favorite is Doc Holliday. I think
amazing,
so amazing in that film, and man, I tell you what. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that role. Steven, did you have some stuff?
Yeah. Well, so I was wondering earlier, you did a little bit of your Dave asked questions for the kind of the origin story for everyone as far as like the industry. The thing I always find fascinating when I talk to anyone that's worked on Zack's movies, obviously there's a core group, but there's a larger group also that like a lot of collaborators that go from project to project. And so like for you guys, what was the first movie, and then how did that kind of turn into, okay, well, I guess I'm just doing all Zack's movies now? Like what was that just kind of an obvious thing, or was there was a moment when it was like, okay, no, this is a group that, like, do you remember sitting in a room working on a specific moment or something where you realized, oh, this is what I'd like to do for the next 10 movies I do?
Damon.
Yeah, I sort of said it earlier, but Zack and I had met outside the business 8 years before he did his first movie. And we talked about it'd be great to work together. And I've had the honor of being involved thus far with all of his projects. But I told him, I think after the second movie, after we did 300, I said, look, just because I didn't want any, we were friends before he started doing movies, and I just didn't want any weirdness to come between us. And I just said, look, man, if you ever want to use somebody else, please do, and don't think that'll come between us as friends at all. And I meant that sincerely, and I didn't like say that and going, oh, I hope he doesn't bite. But
he's like me.
Yeah. So again, I've had the honor to have been on board for all of them thus far.
Yeah, you're the opposite of me.
I gotta get my power cord because I'm about to die. So.
Oh, okay.
Please continue.
I was gonna say Damon's the opposite of me, because when I talked to Zack about Rebel Moon and the timing wasn't working out, I said, "Yeah, I don't want you to use anyone but me." So, that's there.
And it's funny too, because when it comes to Rebel Moon, obviously we've talked about it numerous times too. Is like the fact that it's essentially Zack's Star Wars pitch, that he just kind of went, all right, that's not happening. So then he just kind of has been developing like this own like world behind it, I guess you could say, right? Like he's just, instead of just doing the Star Wars lore, now it's like, oh, I got to create my own worlds now, which he's very, let's face it, he's very good at doing that. So I think it's gotten to the point where a lot of us are just going, it's probably going to be better than him doing a Star Wars, and then they have a bunch of notes, and God knows what those notes would be, and kind of just not giving the full Zack Snyder treatment. And we're going to get a full Zack Snyder treatment of all of this.
Yeah, it'll be good to have another point of view for a sci-fi movie, so it's not just all Star Wars.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting. It'll be good to have something else out there to
indeed. Second that.
But yeah, I think, Steven, to your question, I got, first met Zack through DJ on Watchmen, and then I think we did everything up until Army together. I mean, Damon's done them all. And I think a lot of it goes back to, Zack is very collaborative. He creates a real sort of team, family environment. And so then the people that work out and are part of, this collaboration, I think, I don't want to speak for him, but I think in a perfect world, he would just carry the teams forward. But like DJ was saying earlier with, like with the situation with Rebel Moon and the Flash and stuff, schedules and things, they don't always work. They don't always work out, they don't always work out either. So, and everyone's has things, they get involved in stuff. And so, there'll be I assume different people, or there will be different people on Rebel Moon, like there were on Army, except for for Damon.
Yeah,
Well,
Rebel Moon. We touched on this earlier, Brian, and DJ, just to follow up on your point. Before you guys left for London, you guys left, I don't know, the month before I came up to Toronto. I had checked with Zack and like, hey, what's next? What are you thinking? And yeah, Rebel Moon was 2 projects away, not the next project. And then other things hit walls, and it was like, well, fast track that came, sort of I got bumped up fast.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And I don't know if I was kind of thinking while Damon and Brian were talking about their stories with Zack, I know exactly my moment when I wanted to just stick with this. It was pretty early on because I think I mentioned before, like after the Matrix sequels, which were really hard to do, I like didn't want to do the job anymore, and then I got sucked back in, kind of like the mafia, and then by the time I had met my first meeting with Zack, my first interview with him for the movie that would be Watchmen, but for some reason, not even my boss at Warner Brothers could tell me what it was. I sat down in his office, and before he came in to talk to me, I noticed there were 2 graphic novels on his table in front of me. One was Watchmen, the other was Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns. And he sat down with me and he introduced himself. And the first question was, have you ever read Watchmen? And of course I knew it right away, right when he was talking to me. It's like, oh, that's what this is for. And I said, yes, I have read Watchmen. I read it when it first came out in the late 80s. And he said, what do you think of it? And I looked at him and I looked at the 2 graphic novels and I answered very honestly, I think Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns is better. I love it. It's my favorite one. And he admitted that as well. And we ended up talking about Batman and that universe for a really long time at that meeting about Watchmen. And then we got into the nitty gritty of that. But I knew in that one conversation, I didn't know if I had the job, but mind you, but I knew in that conversation that, there was somebody in front of me that, we had a lot of similarities, a lot of likes, that were the same. And that was the beginning of that relationship that, at least in my mind, maybe I'm insane, but, that like for me grew into a really, blossomed into a really nice relationship. And, I consider these guys, on this call, Patrick, Brian, Damon, and Zack to be my brothers, and to this day. So even though we're all scattered to the 4 corners of the world,
Yeah, that's nice. I feel the same. I feel a bit more like a tourist, though. You guys have huge, long experience. I came in.
What are you talking about?
My first meeting with Zack, I was for the first 300. I've got half Greek, half French, and my roots are in Sparta, actually.
Oh, now you're bragging again.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, we know Patrick.
We know Patrick. Jeez.
I need to do it because I was so eager to. I'd seen Dawn of the Dead. I'm like, who is this guy? What's going on? I never knew about him before. I said I have to be on 300. I got lucky to get interviewed. I don't know if I was lucky. I was obviously not lucky at the end of the day, but I got interviewed, and I didn't really understand I was going for 300, the Frank Miller thing. So I came with my stuff, came with a bunch of Greek Spartans things. I was like, yeah, speak for about half an hour. Zack really kindly was listening, and I left, and I didn't get the job. I was just the last minute. He told me, yeah, right, this is cool, but we're doing 300 Frank Miller version of this. And exactly, we really want to reproduce that. So I felt like a long speech for nothing, and I didn't get the job. I disappeared. And then he called me back. They called me back for 300, the second one, which he was unfortunately not directing. At least for part of it, he came back later, thanks God. And but he, that's how it started. That was my thing with and then at the end of that, I got called for the Batman Superman. And I remember my question for him. The first one was like, "Is this Man of Steel meet the Dark Knight?" And he said, "No, it's our own Batman." And that was a big deal. First, he obviously really wanted to work with him for years. When he told me that, I said, we got a chance to do something new and different, and it's just going to be amazing. and then Justice League, and then that's it. We haven't really completely connected since then, but he's been busy and we've been busy. But that's why I say I call myself the tourist in the group. French tourist.
But you did join Bryan and I in Bulgaria for the sequel. 300.
That's right. Yeah. Like I'm saying, and that's how we met actually. Yeah, with you guys.
Yeah.
And that was.
Well, I worked with you. It holds a special place in my heart, but I was a little person then. But I worked on Die Hard, Live Free or Die Hard.
Right.
Trying to get your attention, but you would.
Who's this guy? Who's this guy? Like, wait.
Yeah, and Patrick, I don't know if you remember, but I met you back on Battlefield Earth.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
No, he doesn't remember those little people, Bryan.
No,
I do.
You did Battlefield Earth, did you? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Man.
No, I don't remember anything.
I met you gambling at the racetrack, and you don't remember that.
Yeah. Throw some money out there. Yeah. Making bets.
It is interesting because you guys have really, really long-term relationship with Zack. I don't have the same, and it's not like I feel lesser or anything. But it's interesting to see how you met and how long you've been building up this. And in my modest, humble way, I already feel freaking lucky that I ended up jumping on with that group and those guys, and we stayed friends. Like I said, I've done the last movie with Zack, but we're not losing track together. We talk all the time, we goof around all the time. So the friendship, like you were saying, DJ, I may not do the movie, but that actually at the end of the day, more importantly, it's the friendship that matters. And I really feel.
Sorry, you left out Snow Steam Iron, Patrick.
Ooh,
right.
That's right. And
can't forget that one.
It's a great one because that one came at a very special time, first of all, for Zack. And also the fact that it was we all jumped on it and there was no studio behind, whatever. We all did it with nothing. Yep. And we did the best we could and it came out, something we're very proud of too. And so that was friendship. That was the friendship. That's where that this is not just about,
Whenever a new crew member joins, there's news about someone that I'm not familiar with joining one of Zack's projects, I go look at Snow Steam Iron's IMDb first to be like, okay, is he okay? Like if there's not a history or whatever, that's like my guiding point for okay, where do they fall in the circle of Zack collaborators?
You want to give back. I think also when Zack was reaching out to us to tell us, it'll be great if you guys can give me a hand on that thing. Of course, you would kill to do it. I wanted to really show him that, hey, thanks for all the stuff you've done, what the opportunity you gave us. I got to say, I'm going to go back to this Batmobile. There's not too many of those out there. And having been given the chance to design one from Zack is a huge deal. I mean, to me, it's one of the biggest things I'll ever have done in my career, Probably at this stage of the game, I'd say, this is huge for me. So if he wasn't there, if he didn't bring me on the project, I would have never done that. And that's a big, big deal. So you can call me anytime for any help or anything, I'll be there. Sense really. Actually, any one of those guys, by the way.
There you go. Just send a message. Hey, we need you.
I have to call you because you don't read your email.
Yeah, don't email.
What is it?
He might read them, Bryan. Don't lie to them. He may read them.
I don't do emails. I do the texting.
Obviously.
I'm here. You know what? There was so much.
He made it.
I made it without discussing about it. I'm here.
We do have to give him credit too, Bryan, because he did show up when we tried to do this last time. He did show up.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
Do I didn't feel it was necessary for me to respond to everything because I was always okay to do it. I knew I was available. I was.
Patrick, how are you liking the new Batmobile that Matt Reeves put in?
I love it. I think this is going to look fantastic. Do you know what I like? Okay, for me, the Batmobile. This is exactly like DJ. There's a couple of those things in there I don't think made an impact on me because they were not changing the rules. I like when everybody comes and just reinvent the wheel, and I think that new one is different it was unexpected. The first reactions were like, "Whoa, it's just a muscle car." But then you realize, I just love when someone brings something fresh and doesn't follow up.
Exactly.
And I think this was those other cars. I think some of the two of those Batmobile, and you know which one I'm talking about. I felt like just made the wings bigger, extend the thing, change the size. It's not the way things should be designed. And I think, in a sense, their approach, Matt Reeves and his designers' approach is amazing. I'm really loving the look of it. I haven't seen too much about it, but I'm only very jealous about these movies because we didn't squeeze a motorcycle on our movie, which was not good. I did a couple of design, and then Zack said, "No, we need something with 4 legs that climbs the wall," and the motorcycle doesn't do that. So we ended up building the crawler for the building. Designing the crawler.
Well, you also had like a hover bike or something designed.
Yeah, wasn't there like something with concept with like a hover bike or something?
One of them was that. Yes, exactly. But I feel, if you like, it's pretty obvious. I love motorcycles. I wish I had a chance to do one for Batman. That's for sure. And Damon, you could ride it like a badass you are on this thing.
So could you.
Yeah, together we'd be racing each other.
We both could have tested that one. Yeah, all together. Road warrior.
Anyway.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
I got a question for Bryan and DJ, especially when it comes to VFX, because I feel like the flashy, no pun intended, the stuff that we as an audience accept is VFX because it's something otherworldly, it's futuristic, it's special powers, it's spaceships, that kind of thing. But I'm always curious for you guys as artists, how much gratification or just ingenuity do you get when you're doing a VFX shot that is VFX because it's for the production, it's for the vision, it's something to make the movie work, but Joe Blow in the street is never going to realize that there was any VFX involved in it because it looks, quote, normal. But that almost is like the biggest compliment that we can give to you guys in your work.
Yeah. Well, it's just my mind just flashed. My mind just flashed on Bryan was the shot in Iceland that had 0 VFX in it that someone decided looked fake and tore it apart as if it were a visual effects shot. And so that's the Joe Blow I'm familiar with.
Yeah. Well, and you also got the opposite too, when like somebody compliments the cinematographer for a fully digital shot, and you're kind of going, "Well, wait a minute." I mean, it's not quite. They didn't point a camera. That's something that somebody actually created from, digitally right there. So you get that also that side of it too, right?
Yeah, I mean, I like doing invisible effects. They're often really hard to do because there's nothing about it that is, interesting is not the right word, but there's nothing fancy happening in it. It's just an extension of an environment or some sort of non-fantastical thing. And, depending on how that shot got created and ended up in visual effects post-production, it might not be the friendliest thing for us to be working on also. Mm-hmm. So like, I like doing them on, kind of like a sick satisfaction level because, it's nice to pull it off. I don't know that the artists that I get to work on them are particularly jazzed to do them because they can be hard to do. They can be hard to do, and there's no tolerance on that shot for anything other than looking believable because that's all the shot is. And I think it's low satisfaction for the artist for that reason as well because they do it and like it's done. People look at it and go, "Who cares?"
Yeah,
but then you get something I say that kind of skirts the middle ground. Like I think us in this community always think about like the Kryptonian armor and Man of Steel. When I swear not a single person knew that armor was CGI until we saw the special effects on the special features of the Blu-ray when it came out. And I don't know. I guess I'm just different. That if I can't tell, I think that just means it's even more incredible work that you guys and your teams are doing. I mean,
Here.
When I don't see it, when I don't realize it, and then I find out, that's when I want to go, damn, that was some good work.
No, that's nice to hear, actually, because and yeah, that actually I do have a sense of pride about, because that was an early decision to go that route with it. It was probably, I mean, I never had a doubt that we could do it convincingly. But I did there was a guy years ago when I was doing a talk about, I think, the Smallville battle. I can't remember what auditorium I was in, but there was a guy that was really angry about it. He was particularly angry. Was all CG, and he's like, don't producers know how much that costs? That's ridiculous. That means you're creating a shot for every shot. And I just thought, geez, man, like, sorry, I'm like, there were a lot of practical reasons why we did it that way, and there was a cost CG cost that was weighed against the cost of trying to dress that many people in armor that was that complex every day, get them out of it for lunch or a bathroom break. It was like we realized we would never get through the shoot with it, right? And more importantly, from what Damon and I were looking at, people wouldn't be able to fight in it either. So I just. The guy was just so mad about it. I didn't have the heart to tell him that part. I'm just like, yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe we're all dumb and we shouldn't have done it.
Yeah, we're idiots.
Yeah.
There's always that.
Yeah. I'll just go back to playing drums.
See, I mean, like I said, when I designed this thumbnail, I was like, DJ, you're the drummer. I mean, I got that sense right there. So
I'm very satisfied with that. Thank you.
Yeah. No problem. No, I mean, like going into Scott's, question and everything. I mean, there's many times where just on movies that you don't expect any kind of CGI or anything, and all of a sudden it's like they do you see a breakdown video that someone releases, and like, oh yeah, all these backgrounds, they were all created. I mean, I think one of the biggest ones was like Wolf of Wall Street. There was like backgrounds created and stuff like that. But then, of course, when you see movies like maybe like The Joker that has to take place in the 80s and whatnot, I mean, obviously you have if you're going to have a skyline or something, you're going to have a shot that has a city in the background. Obviously, that's all going to be there. And I mean, just the fact that, I always appreciate when like, oh yeah, that is CGI, but yeah, the common audience, they're not going to even think twice about it. And yeah, like Brian, what you said, it maybe not as satisfying as like that hero shot or, the parademon, the shot that I love, maybe not as satisfying, but still at the same time, it's like, just shows that, wow, good work. Cause people just thought, oh, it's just a shot that didn't even really think twice about. So
yeah. It's like the house in Parasite.
Oh yeah, that's right. You're right. Yeah. They built that house, right? It was only just a one story, or just not even anything.
Yeah,
really.
And, no one's going to think twice about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was really shocked when I saw that Mamma Mia was like, I was like, Mamma Mia was like full on green. Wow, green, blue screens, and I was like, wow, look at that. A lot of that backgrounds were all. I'm not like I'm saying like I'm a fan of the movie. I do run a fan group secretly. I just revealed.
Right. You're talking about Mamma Mia or Mamma Mia? Here we go again.
Yeah. No, but it's just kind of funny when like you see those VFX breakdowns, and you go, wow, like. All those shots that they accomplished were, they were literally on set, and there's a green or blue screen behind them. It's always
stuff that's not like
because the sequel has Cher in it.
Yes.
But even stuff that's not like super flashy though. Like in, I loved watching the Corridor Crew video where they were freaking out about that stick, that Steppenwolf
like a rich grandma.
And then, and then they had Bryan on. The first thing I did was skip forward to find where like they're going to ask about the stick, aren't they, in the mud? Yeah. And they did. And I was like, that's the fact that like the VFX guys on that show are like, I need to know about this. Like Steppenwolf was in the shot. They need to know about the stick. Like, is that a real stick?
Do you guys watch any of that stuff? The Corridor Crew?
They were into the stick.
Yeah.
Very into the stick.
Yeah. It's little details like that. And I mean, I remember one of the shots they talked about too is like when Steppenwolf like literally walks through like a little puddle, like when he's walking up to the Atlantean and he just threw against a rock. I mean, just little details like that of just how he goes through the water. They were really just nerding out about as well. Wow. Yeah. Those guys are awesome too. When they break down stuff like that and they compliment stuff. I mean, yeah, it's like I said, little details like that just go a long ways.
On a
No, it's all
similar
in the
note,
details. It's all in the details. We talk about that stuff a lot. So
Yeah.
sometimes sometimes it's details like a stick that doesn't necessarily mean anything, but then sometimes you've got stuff that's like Patrick designed Bruce's house, which is a glass house, which I think is kind of speaks for itself thematically and where he is in Batman v Superman. And then you've got stuff like on my podcast, we just talked about the episode where Superman is standing on the balcony and the Washington Monument is behind him. And like, that you didn't actually shoot that in DC. So that means that there was a decision made to, it's not like it was just happened to be there. There was, they said, oh, we want the Washington Monument to be over his shoulder in this shot because it has thematic significance. Or in the lake house, he's got like no furniture, but he's got the crater, the big wine mixer, which I may be looking into this too much, but when I looked it up, it's used to dilute wine to kind of moderate, like to make sure people don't get out of hand at parties. So you can have a good time, but not too good of a time. And which again, for Bruce in the glass house, it makes a lot of sense. Whenever I ask people about this stuff, a lot of times it's like, oh, well, you'll have to ask DJ about that, or you'll have to ask, Zach about that, or where I'm assuming it's a collaborative process, but like when this stuff ends up in the movie, some of it's VFX, some of it's set design. Is this stuff that Zach is saying like, I want this in the background, or is there I know, I'm sure prop makers and set design has an influence too, but there's so much deep, like small things that are Easter eggs that I can't imagine are 100% coming from Zach. Can you guys talk to kind of how these frames get packed with so much kind of thematic material outside?
I think a lot of stuff does come from Zach.
Yeah. Wouldn't be
especially
surprised.
stuff like, I mean, he's not. I think Damon and Bryan and I have been privy to conversations where he's talked about certain things that, like, I could see Patrick showing him X, Y, and Z, or maybe he talks to someone in props, but he's got really strong ideas that he kind of rattles off to us about, what he wants to see in there. And also too, a lot of stuff comes from his drawings for the movie as well. That was something I learned early on in Watchmen, that, he may not draw everything that everyone's going to put into the scene, but the things he wants to see for sure are in those drawings, as simple as they are. And any one of us, has to learn early on that you got to make sure that at least that's in the movie, you're in the shot that you're making,
So he'll have a scene and he'll be like, and there's a painting of a horse over here, and there's a statue of a bird over there.
The process of the job with Zach or any directors is, director doesn't, well, actually, I shouldn't say that, but with Zach, definitely doesn't come up on set the day of shoot and discover what's in there. So it's a process. Also, start with the concept or whatever, but then as we start building the set decorator, I'm talking about my hand of things, not for visual effects part, but just like the pure practical stuff. The set decorator will introduce the director to what the direction is going with this. The prop master will do the same thing. So Zach, above and beyond those things where he makes his choices already, what he would rather see for his character that he's created, he also comes up with ideas of things he thinks would be important for, like you call those little moments that are going to create something. So it's full of signatures of Zach in there. But if it's not, it's also choices that he makes about what he wants to see there. And, Zach doesn't have a control. He gives you a certain freedom to bring things to the table. But those choices we make, he still reviews. He still needs to see it. He still needs to feel comfortable. Because again, it's not just about how cool that looks. It's about the character that he's created. And that character needs to have, I'm sure he's talking with Ben. He may have talked with Ben about some ideas. I don't know, but I believe he may have done that. Where Ben as a character also wants to see something and they discuss and they come up with ideas. And it triggers all the way to us delivering a set that should have all those elements for them to play with. That's it. And that's at least on the practical end of things.
Yeah. Zach's he always seems very collaborative. And that's what's also what you want in a director too, is like, it's not just but he's very open. Seems like he's very open to ideas when it comes to stuff. Damon, I actually wanted to ask you, because I threw it at the beginning of the stream, but this right here, that part right there.
I have to ask DJ about that.
I was really like, yeah, I added a little sound effect just for ambiance. But yeah, like when it came to Man of Steel and that scene, because it ended up being pretty controversial when it came to, oh my God, can you believe that Superman did all that? Like and I love the fact that Zack had it, like, it seems like he's always, like you guys said, he will do some of the, hey, just do it like this, and then he'll do it, and that's exactly what that shot right there. What was that? How was that whole scene like? Just take us back to that scene right there.
That was an amazing sequence to do. Super powerful in Chicago, and yeah, I mean, look, some people had an aversion to it.
Yeah.
But the moment, that's when we were showing Michael and Henry the walkthrough of what was going to take place there, and we took a lighter tone because it was such a heavy subject and such a heavy scene with what we were doing. So that was a better way to deliver or to digest to everyone. People were like, "Oh, they're laughing and he's killing him." Yeah. We took a lighter tone in conveying this to the actors because it was such a heavy moment.
Yeah, I know. It was just go ahead, Scott.
Well, that was tying into a question that I wanted to ask Damon, because you touched on your project that you're going to be able to do in the future, and I know you can't speak specifically to that project, but
working title. Just kidding.
Stop it, Dave. Stop it. But Damon, I am kind of curious about what it's like for you, because maybe you are aware, but there is definitely this sub fandom that is growing of those of us who are really digging this new, I don't want to call it a trend because that sounds so fluffy and dismissive, but there is this new appreciation for stuntmen and stunt coordinators becoming full-on directors of their own feature films. And I am just kind of curious about your thoughts on how that has been so well received, and in my opinion, and probably because of the excellent product that you guys, because you're your talent, yes, stuntmen as stunt coordinators, like, what this is going to look like. How does it feel now to there be this growing appreciation that now you guys are stepping in and being like the number one director on these kind of films?
Oh yeah, it's a wonderful opportunity. I mean, there's been a handful of second unit directors, prior stunt coordinators, stuntmen who have made the transition over the years successfully. It wasn't a high rate, let's put it that way. But obviously in recent years that tide has turned. So it's a great opportunity, and specifically the action portions of those films should be top notch, and then it's just the concern is, okay, can someone who has come from the action genre carry the story? Do they understand story? Do they understand character? And I think they've been proving, most of the directors that have made the transition, that yes, they can. For me, I've said this before, and it's the way I create action, with my team and with DJ and Bryan, whomever. It always comes from story and character, not mindless. I'm from the action world, and mindless action, I shut off. I'm like, okay, desensitize. Oh, okay, here's the story's back on again. Now I'm emotionally connected with it again. So that's the way I've approached. Once I started to be in the lead role of coordinating and second directing, etc. Always pushed for that, even when I was just a fight choreographer, before I moved up. Not just that's a lowly title, just when I was there. It always has to have an emotional connection to it. Otherwise, what's the point? That's one of the reasons. Patrick talked about this earlier, and DJ and Bryan. Look, we all get along so well and work well together because we're all trying to service the story and the film. It's not about, hey, can the action outshine the visual effects outside the design? How do we best use each other's talents and work together so we can service the director's vision and the story and character?
Well,
yeah, absolutely. And it's funny. It's funny too, because I didn't know until you guys just mentioned that when you played that clip that there was a tribe of people out there that somehow thought that we took that moment lightly collectively. I never even knew that was a thing.
Yeah.
That's bizarre to me, because I mean, when we do all these movies with Zach, it's like we have a really good time with each other making them. But I mean, I feel like, well, maybe this is the other criticism of anything we do together. We're pretty dead nuts serious about what's going on, and the severity of what's going on. It's like, do we know that people are getting killed? We do know that. There's a lesson in that, in what's being told, and we talk about it, and it's not trivial, and we never are slight about it at all. Do we still show the things we show? Yeah. We try to visually fulfill, the vision of what's going on, the story, like Damon says, but it's not taken for granted or, sloughed off as, we have a lot of fun. There's a lot of fun in games, a lot of joking around, but it's serious as well. What we think of the material,
Well, I mean, we're lucky enough to get along as well as we do, because like production, post-production, and I mean pre-production to some degree, it's hard to make a movie.
Yeah, it's true.
It's definitely hard. You got to have all the pieces right, together and everything like that. And you guys definitely do a good job when it comes to working together. So
it's sometimes amazing that any movie gets made at all. It's so hard to make a movie.
Just on like a day-to-day, hour-to-hour thing is like, it's hard to make a movie.
Yeah.
There are many miracles. There really are, because when you see what goes into them, just to get them to actual photography is a miracle, and then the second miracle, it's amazing. It really is.
Yeah.
Well, and something to Damon's point, I always feel like, is that you've got to remember this is also a workplace. And so the idea of keeping it light when dealing with a serious situation, I mean, if anything, you're trying to also, you've got actors who are involved, and you've got to be sensitive to any kind of emotional feedback from that as well. And I think that's just being very conscientious of, we're a team and we need it to work as cohesively and as successfully as possible. And I think what you guys all just said right there speaks to how this camaraderie, this team, this buddy group that you guys have really all works together towards that sort of common goal of, we want to make the best movie possible.
Sure. Absolutely.
Indeed.
That is the goal. Yes.
That is the goal. Steven, you have another thing, one more thing before we wrap it up?
Yeah, if we do just one more, I guess maybe keep it a little bit lighter. We just on and I'm also obligated to reference my podcast in every single question.
Jeez, really, Steven, really?
We had
we're not drinking right now. Yeah.
We had a debate recently. I think we're actually on the same page, so it was more of an in-depth discussion on whether or not that is actually Lex Luthor personally peed in that jar. And since it's not specified in the movie, and I don't know if that is a decision that was made behind the scenes, I'd like to know each of your opinions on, is that Lex Luthor's urine, and did he personally put it in the jar?
Well, you'd have to ask Snyder, I guess. My opinion is that he absolutely did.
Yes.
Yeah. Like I have no actual idea, but I would agree with Damon. Like with that character of Lex in that movie, like 100%, my opinion is he would do that.
Yeah. I think our
that's
conclusion
interesting.
was
You said it that
let
way,
someone else
Brian,
do it.
because you're saying Lex peed in there. I actually think Jesse peed in there.
Ooh, that's a much better question. So I need
He's
to.
very,
Was it actually
that
Jesse?
character? So yeah.
What about you, Patrick? You agree?
Yeah, totally.
It was actually Patrick who.
I don't remember filling up a little jar of yellow liquid, so it's got to be the way. I mean, I never saw props with that jar. He came from somewhere mysterious.
Oh man!
Well said.
Well said. Well said. Well, that was a great question to wrap up on. I know, I wanted to just keep you guys for about 2 hours, and I appreciate you guys being on this was a lot of fun. You know, to have the group dynamic and just to have the Snyder crew. And like I said, you know, I had so much fun making the thumbnail last night. You know, it's a perfect album cover right there.
Should have put an MPAA warning on it.
Yeah, I know. I should put I should put
parental advisory, explicit content. Yeah,
definitely put that. But thank you, Bryan, DJ, Patrick, and Damon for joining and having this conversation. And like I said, Damon, the next time, let's try to have a round table on a beach. I'm all for that. You know, let's try to do that. Yeah, really. Yeah, would be cool. And we just appreciate the work that you guys have done, and looking forward to what you guys, you know, Bryan, we're looking forward to seeing your work in Suicide Squad, and of course, The Flash, DJ, same thing. And then, you know, what you guys are doing. Damon, we're really excited what you are going to bring to the table when it comes to your own movie. I mean, I think a lot of people were passing around that paragraph going, oh, wow, Caro is going to have his own movie in this whole thing. So really good stuff. So thanks guys. Really appreciate it. Yes.
Thanks for having us. And I just want to say it's great to see my mates. You know,
I
good to see you guys.
This is what it's all about. Yeah.
Yep.
Here, and if we do it again next time, well, hopefully maybe we can get Zach in here. I know he's busy today. Comic-Con.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, all that stuff. Get Zach, get Eunice, get even maybe it's a Trone or something like that. That'd be a lot of fun. So
I just want to say I was really hoping Eunice was going to barge in somewhere here because she couldn't make it. She had a family engagement today, and she was worried she was going to be too inebriated to join. And I really wanted that to happen.
Oh, that would be great.
It would have been amazing. So maybe next time.
Hi guys. Yeah. Oh, that would have been great.
That would have been amazing. We'll try and plan it that way next time.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah. Eunice, it's a drinking game. You take a shot every 15 minutes.
That would not be off topic.
That would not be. I mean, usually
channel.
I do the vodka stream, and that's what we're doing. And actually, that would be the last question, or go around the horn with you guys. What's your preferred drink that you have? Like at the end of the day, for a drink, Bryan, go ahead.
I don't know. I don't drink too much, but I guess, you know, sometimes on Fridays DJ will pour some tequila.
Nice.
To end the week.
I will.
Okay. Is that your
Which
preferred?
also answers the question for me then.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess that would be the answer.
So a nice little tequila for you guys. What about you, Patrick?
Well, for me, it used to be a little glass of wine. I've changed that to, I don't drink very often anymore, but like a glass of whiskey here and there. But that's what I like.
Nice.
Yeah.
What about you, Damon? And Damon?
I rarely drink. It's but if I do, every once in a while, I'll have some wine.
There you go.
Right.
Very nice.
Right there. Nothing wrong with that.
And the last time I was with you when you did that was at the top of Taos Mountain when we were shooting there. Remember that? After we had finished that shoot. Yeah.
Yeah. That was awesome.
Very insane. Yeah.
Sounds like it was. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate it. And like I said, we'll have to definitely do this again. This has been so much fun. And hopefully everybody enjoyed that too. So I appreciate it, guys. And we'll see you guys later. All right.
Take care.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.
Good to see you guys.
Yeah.
It was great seeing you guys.
Yeah. Really great.
Nice seeing you guys. All right.
Bye.
All right. Oop. I got rid of Scott. I know. No, you're going to leave with them. How dare you? Yeah.
Oh, well, you know, I'm going to leave with the cool crew. You know, you never want to be the last person at the party. I know how this goes. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks guys for joining in too. That was
Yeah.
That was totally that was a lot of fun right there. The camaraderie of that group, I tell you what, man. I mean, that's what you want right there, you know. I think
It really does reinforce, like, you hear the stories, but then it's another thing when you put them all, quote unquote, in the same room and you actually get to witness it alive, because you can't fake that.
Yeah, you can't fake that. And you could see it too. I mean, it was funny, even just like backstage when they were slowly coming in, and you know, and it was the same thing. Like, where's Patrick? Oh man, I gotta text that guy. And it was just kind of like we had that like little dynamic of course, like Patrick passionately, but then of course he popped in like right as before I started bringing him on, so it was like perfect. So, but yeah, you could see why they work very, very well together, and yeah, that was awesome.
Well, it's funny because I asked, like I was saying, whenever you ask like the different people that work on the projects like under these guys, it's always like, oh, well, you got to ask, you got to ask Damon about that. You got to ask DJ, you got to ask Bryan. And so you get them all in the room. And of the guys that I've talked to before, it's often like, oh, well, you got to talk to Zach about that. And so it's funny how often that comes up. And then I slip up in my question and phrase it poorly. I'm like, oh, I'm sure Zach doesn't come up with all that stuff on his own. So where's and they're like, oh no, that's all. And so it's like, wow, so there really is a
yeah. That was kind of funny because it's like, does he? And then all of a sudden they're like, well, yeah, he kind of does.
Yeah.
Hey, I appreciate, I don't consider it slipping up. I just appreciate the fact that you don't just automatically assume, because personally, if I was one of these guys and they put in all this hard work, I would prefer not for my work to be immediately claimed by somebody else.
On my podcast, Batman v Superman by the minute, as we go through it every minute, they're like, because obviously Zach is known for his Easter eggs and stuff, and for the visual information he packs in the background, and you get to stuff like we just talked about the Washington Monument, and we're like, well, that's clearly inserted, which means it's intentional. It could have been anything. It could have been a generic building. It could have been stars. It could have been whatever, and they said it has to be the Washington Monument. And so that question is like, why? And then there's a question of like, who is that done by continuity to the script? And they just said, well, it has to be that. Well, no, because if they have a choice to make it one thing or the other, they're going to choose something that thematically matters. And so that ties in more than just like location setting and whatever, which means that there's a script note or there's something. And so it's hard to not hard to imagine him doing that, but like to think that all comes from one person instead of being in like a brainstorm with set design or whatever and be like, okay, here's the point of this scene. And they say, okay, well, we'll put a horse here and we'll put the Washington Monument there. And so it's I guess I don't doubt it now that I hear them say it, but it is crazy to know just how much of that is, you know.
And I would also, as I'd like to point this out, and I didn't want to embarrass them, but seriously, you guys need to take a trip down IMDb lane.
Oh no, I have all their pages up.
I'm looking at this thing going, Patrick was a creature designer for Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah, I didn't want to bring that up.
I know, I didn't want to bring that up.
Bryan, I brought up Dark City though because
my God, you know, I was going to bring up Dark City because I was just like, dude, I love that movie. Bryan was a CG artist on Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie. I was like, seriously? And Damon did stunts on Last Action Hero.
Nice. He was also in Fight Club.
Yes, he was in Fight Club. That was
man. Yeah. See, that's
I mean a bunch of stuff, but I mean the ones that always stick out to me that I haven't had a chance to ask before are Fight Club. You would very much cling onto the Last Action Hero one though.
Oh yeah, totally.
Oh yeah. And Daredevil.
The movie, right? Was
Ben Affleck. He was a stunt double on the Ben Affleck movie.
Yeah, yeah. So he's been doing it, working with Ben for a while.
I wonder who his stunt double was on that.
He's been working with Ben. Yeah. Might have been Citrone. Was it Citrone? I think I
don't know if they were. That would have been early on.
I don't know, because I know Citrone's been working with him for a long time too. So
it's just when you have a match, it's like
well, that's why I'm wondering because Caro could. No, it was Tim Connolly because he says he was a stunt double. So I wonder who he was a double for. Maybe Bullseye.
Could be that,
probably. Yeah. But and that's another thing that I would also like to see when Damon does his movie is does he. Because we know stunt performers can act there is a contract difference between actors and stunt performers, but it's nice to see them kind of get to shine and it like Richard getting to be Zeus in Army of the Dead.
Yeah.
And so those are the kind of things that really intrigue me about Damon taking over his own movie is making those more unorthodox choices and not just going with names and faces, but going with people who can actually do the thing.
Yeah, it's always nice to see that, and then of course you wonder like, okay, so who else is he going to have like in his movie too? That's going to be like that he's going to gel with like an actor who's also very much. Stunts, fighting, stuff like Scott Atkins type. Is he going to have somebody like in there or something like that? Because I wouldn't be, that guy does great work too when it comes to what he does. And he kind of wonders like, is there going to be something like there, other performers as well? So
yeah. And I would expect him to draw heavily from because it's not just him, but I mean he's got his own crew of people that he always works with.
Yeah.
And so I'd expect that. And obviously he's got, a close group of collaborators under Zach. It's almost, I feel a little bit bad that the production for his movie it sounds like it's going to conflict with either Rebel Moon and or
Army of the Dead 2.
Army of the Dead 2, which
Yeah.
it sounds like why he's probably not going to be involved, which hopefully that doesn't take away too many of his like people that he relies on and force him to go out for his first project solo to, use a bunch of newcomers when he also relies on a close group of collaborators under him.
It's true. But I love the fact that he said like, "Oh, you need to like insert me in there. I need to die somewhere in there, because you got to keep the streak going." Which shows you right there the dedications. Like,
it was really weird going that Damon even did action coordination for Guardians of Ga'Hoole.
Yeah.
So he even worked on the animated movie.
Have you seen? There's a clip of Zach? It might even be an interview with Damon, but I think Zach said it where they did stunt viz for that. They put like talons on their fingers and did like and videoed and edited together stunt viz like they do for everything else. So that's one of those things. In the same way that I want to see their them video of them designing scenes with cars with the stunt viz for that. I want to see their stunt viz for Owl of Ga'Hoole with their hand, whatever they were doing.
Talon fingers, yeah.
No. It wasn't just their hands. I'm wrong. I think they said they got costumes and rollerblades.
Oh,
I got to look this up now.
Oh,
Yeah.
great! I have opened up the can of worms.
Yeah.
For Steven, have I not?
Yes, you have.
It's just I don't know. It's just weird when you watch Legend of the Guardians and you're like, if you don't think a director has anything to do with an animated movie, watch that movie to go, dude, no, this is an animated movie.
Well, you
Zack Snyder
believe
movie.
you better believe that he was drawing out the storyboards for a lot of that, and then then it's like, all right, and which that's one of the things. I mean, I don't know if we really touched base on it today, but I think I've heard them before. It's like Well, I think DJ even kind of talked about it. It's like the fact that Zach draws everything out. That's got to make it a lot easier. Because you're not just having somebody going, well, let's just do it like, and explain it to it verbally. He's actually got like something like this, and then they just kind of just bring it to life, and they're so in sync with each other that they achieve just beautiful, gorgeous shots.
Here we go, Zach. So I got with my stunt choreography and fight coordinator, Damon Caro, who's done all my movies. We got all my stunt team from 300 and we put them in these cardboard wings and basically made them fight each other. So there is stunt viz somewhere.
Stunt viz for that.
The stunt team dressed up
like owls.
With at least cardboard wings. But I mean, you've seen this other stunt viz. They just had one just was floating around recently with them doing the kryptonite gas. And they actually have like the gas and stuff. So there's a level of realism they put into this stuff that like I bet like I'd be shocked if they weren't looking somewhat like owls, like cardboard owl costumes. I need to see it.
When I talked to Citrone, he said like anytime they've done that, they treat it like little short films. They do.
Well, you can tell it because when they edit those little videos together, it's like. Well, I'm sorry. I still wish that Batman versus Parademon Lair fight had actually happened because the stunt previews looks amazing.
Yeah.
I know. I wish it wasn't quote too scary because it looked like it was going to be an awesome Batman fight.
Yeah, it definitely would have been.
Well, if you see some of it was reincorporated into the escape or not the escape, the initial fight where he like kicks the parademon through the door, and all that. Like there's some of those shots that I think were borrowed from the earlier stunt design.
Yeah, because doesn't he grappling hook and using the grappling hook on one? Yeah, so they probably just kind of repurposed some of the ideas into that. But it's nice to know that they were that they also were like, they really wish that they had that idea in there too. So, but great conversation. But I think we'll wrap it up right now. Thanks, Scott and Steven for joining in, giving some little backup and stuff like that. Because I figured, it's four of them. Might as well bring some more people on. And thank you for everybody who was asking questions, stuff like that. I mean, sorry we didn't get to like a lot of them. I was looking at questions in the chat, and I was trying to kind of refer to them a little bit. And I think most of the time we were pretty much talking about some of that stuff. So anyways, let's go ahead and plug yourselves. Mr. Steven, go ahead.
Steven Colbert. And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram and everywhere at SM Colbert. And you can find my podcast, BVS by the Minute, as well as Justice League and Army of the Dead at SnyderMinute.com.
don't have anything to drink.
And also my writing on screenrant.com. And also, before anyone forgets, everyone, this is like a pre-party to the Army of Thieves Comic-Con panel is in like 45 minutes. So everyone make sure.
Yeah, it is.
That.
Yes. Yes. It was perfect. It was perfect timing too. So I was like, oh yeah. I think Scott and I were talking about that yesterday. I was hoping it wasn't going to overlap, and surely it has not, because that'll be the next thing to watch. So go ahead, Scott.
Well, of course, you can find me on Twitter, ScottDC27. You can find my podcast, the DC Film Squadcast, wherever podcasts can be found. We're also on Vero, Facebook, YouTube. And you can find the entire network of shows at squadcastmedia.com. You can find me every Saturday night with this guy talking about Batman and Batman the Fandom Industry. And as I continue to plug that this week, you should see the return of Dune chapter by chapter over at Wonder Meg on YouTube.
There it is, guys. And make sure you smash that like, thumbs up before you leave. Hit the notification bell. Subscribe. Merchandise down below, like the shirt that Scott is wearing right there. And then, of course, the Patreon if you want to really help out the pirate ship. And, guys, this was a lot of fun. Thank you again to Brian, DJ, Damon, and Patrick for joining. And those guys are awesome. And they do just exceptional work, and we love it. And we'll see you. We'll talk to you guys later. Had to show that one more time.